Hello, friends, and welcome back again. Today we are doing our full deep dive look into Mondo's new 2000X inspired He-Man figure. Yeah. So I've done an unboxing of this where I took a good look at how he's packaged, pulled him out, showed what all he comes with. But today we're going to be focusing on the figure itself. And right off the bat, I gotta say I am absolutely floored by this figure and just how amazing it is. Like, Mondo already blew my mind with their Ghostbusters, but this He-Man just is a whole tier all to himself. So in my unboxing, we showed the beautiful box art here on the packaging by Emiliano Santalucia. And of course, if you have been in the He-Man fandom for any amount of time, that name should be pretty familiar to you. But he's also credited as being the designer for this, which makes sense when you look at the way he is detailed. He does very much match up with his artwork, but obviously this is inspired by the 2000X series, and this look specifically is the sort of a fusion between how he looked in the cartoon as well as how his toy actually looked. Yes, it does lean more to the cartoon, but there's a lot of the toy element in here as well. Starting things off, instead of looking at the figure, we're actually going to look at the display stand so we can get a good idea of how this works. Maybe you've had some high-end collectibles before, you kind of have an idea how this stand works. It's pretty much the same thing. It is two pieces. The arm is one piece. It plugs in here pretty securely. It's actually very hard to get back out once it is in there. It is a multi-jointed system here with a C-clip at the very end, which does have a padding on the inside so it won't scratch up your figure. It is held together just by your standard nuts and screws. So if you want to loosen or tighten any of these, you probably can just with a screwdriver. It's really not needed so much. This guy stands pretty well on his own. So it's not necessarily needed, but I will never say no to a display stand. Those are very, very needed for a lot of other figures. As you can see here, he can hold his sword in the I have the power stance, which is awesome. But let's get a good look here at the figure itself. Now, I have him with one of the alternate heads on, as we can see there by the fact that he's growling at you. Grr. But yes, the painting and sculpt work on all of the details on him is fantastic. You can see he does have a very subtle wash to bring out the details going across the figure, and it is very well done. Now, it is not a perfect cartoon replica of the 2000X He-Man. It is a fusion between the 2000X He-Man cartoon and the 2000X He-Man toy. Now, you might notice something here. I will say one minor issue that I have with this figure. He sheds. That's a shame. It's unfortunate. It's bound to happen. But yeah, because he does have a real fur loincloth and fur boots, shedding is something that can happen. It's very soft, very, very fine feeling fur. Feels really good to the touch. But anyway, let's talk about the articulation. So the head is on a double ball joint. It can go quite a good ways back. Kind of looks a little weird when you get that far back. It can go good ways forward, tilt side to side, and of course rotate all around. You do have a universal joint for the shoulder here at the shoulder, but you also have a ball joint on the inside of the shoulder to give it that nice butterfly effect. And we'll come back to this. We'll talk about this here again in a second. You do have very tight swivels here at the bicep, and we'll talk about that here in a second. You do have a double jointed elbow, but due to how big his biceps and forearm is, you don't get that deep of a bend. As you can see, the hands are very easily removable. They are probably a little too easily removable. They're not loose. They're absolutely not loose, but they're pretty easy to pop off just by messing with him. As you can see, the bracers on both sides are separate pieces. They just fit on there pretty snugly, but once you pop that hand off, it's pretty easy to get on and off. You can see here on this side, same thing. That bracer is a separate piece. There we go. The hands are all attached with a universal joint. The peg, of course, works as a swivel, and then you have a swivel here at the hand, as well as a swivel inside the hand, so you can rotate that joint however you need to, which does mean that, yes, you can tilt that hand down to get the good I have the power, or actually in this case, by the power of Grayskull. You have a ball joint at the upper torso, as well as a ball joint at the waist. So you get a nice, big, deep range of motion there, forward and back, which is fantastic. You do get a universal ball joint at the thigh on the inside there. Little squeaky, as well as a rotation up in there. We do have double jointed knees. Now, you don't have anything at the boot cut as near as I can tell. It's possible it could be glued on, but I don't think that's the case. So there's no swivel down here, but you do, that's more accurate to how your leg actually turns when you get that anyway. But you do have up and down movement here at the ankle, as well as a deep rocker joint. Now, of course, the heads are interchangeable pretty easily enough. You just pop that off the ball joint, and then you can pick your alternate head here. Well, this is actually the head that comes on in the package. You can just easily pop that back into place. Likewise, if you want to do the toy-inspired head, you can plug that on there as well. Pretty easily, he says, as he struggles because he's on camera. And now I don't want to go on. I opened my fat mouth and look what happens. There we go. Boom. And there you can have the more toy-inspired head. Just like so. And again, you saw how easy the hands are to pull in and out. Let's go ahead and put the more stoic head on him here. Now, the hands are made out of a softer material. Not near as soft as the Ghostbusters hands were, but soft enough. And the weapons are made out of a nice rigid material. That makes it very easy to get the weapons in and out of his hands. Which, hey, Todd McFarlane, remember that for the next Warcraft figure you do. Anyway, so as you saw, the bracers are removable. You can just pop those off if you just want him to be bare-armed for whatever reason you might want him to be bare-armed. The chest strap is also removable. They just plug in together right down here on the sides. And you do have to remove this when you get it out of the package. If you saw the unboxing, he does have a felt cover. Now, when you take him out or take that belt off, you do see that little cut right there is not the prettiest, but the belt does cover that quite a bit. Now, the belt here and the fur underwear are two separate pieces, but they are non-removable, and obviously the fur on his boots are glued into place, so also non-removable. Now, my one concern with this figure, because it is both a cool thing and it's a concern thing, is his upper torso. So this whole upper torso is a soft, flexible, rubbery material over an internal skeleton. If you saw my review on the Sylvanas Windrunner and the Tyrande Whisperwind figures, they had a very similar thing. And my concern is how well this will hold up over time. Now, I mentioned he does have the ball joints that work like a butterfly joint on the inside, as well as a nice cuff rotation, which is really cool for posing. And they're nice and tight, which lets you actually flex them pecs. You can totally get into them bodybuilding, flexing of the pecs poses. Likewise, you know, he can flex backwards a little bit as well, sort of broaden that chest a little bit more. So that's a cool effect. It is a cool effect, but again, I worry about the longevity of a piece like this. Now, putting his clothes back on him, you can take a look here at the back of the strap. You can see he does have loops back here, so he can holster his axe. Again, the axe detail and painting is absolutely fantastic. I love that they have all the wires and everything painted, and that can fit in right here. It does get a little bit caught down in here, but it's pretty easy to get in and get flexed in there, just like so. And the sword can go right in here. You can either tuck it underneath the axe or go over the axe, however you feel more comfortable with doing that. I kind of like to hold it that way behind the axe so it holds a little bit tighter. And so, yes, for those that didn't pay attention in 2000X, He-Man is mirrored from his vintage counterpart. And the vintage counterpart, the shorter bracer is over here, the longer bracer is over here, and the sword is over here. But here, it's swords on the left side of his body, bracers are reversed. So, yeah. And with that articulation, you can actually get him in a very good-looking, natural, reaching back to grab the sword pose, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, getting the shield in the hand, I do think is a little bit tougher, and it's a little bit easier to do if you take the hand off first and get it in here and just sort of rotate it into position and then put it back onto his wrist. Just because of the curvature of his hand and how much space is here in that shield, it just, to me, just works a little bit easier to do it that way. But he can hold the shield as well. Yay! Celebration. But there we go. Now, of course, the downside with these butterfly joints is you can get some ugly gaps in there depending on how you have that posed. But again, it's pretty easy to find a natural tilt, you know, that he would have in a battle stance, which I think is fantastic. This might be the best articulation I've seen on a He-Man figure ever. About the only complaint I would say is, you know, since he's got the double bulb joints here, it's pretty easy to get things, you know, unaligned, but, you know, it's pretty easy to put them back in alignment if you so choose. Which does mean you can get him in probably the best by the power of Grayskull pose out there when it comes down to it. And just for a comparison, here he is with the Masterverse 40th Anniversary He-Man and the Classics 2000X Snake Armor He-Man. And yeah, he scales quite nicely. He would fit in on a display with those if you wanted him to fit in on a display with those. His sword's a lot longer. I do feel like the beefiness of this sword is more accurate, but that just looks so much nicer. It really does. It's a very, very good looking piece. So all in all, this is an absolutely beautiful, fantastic, just amazing He-Man figure. I mean, I really couldn't imagine this being done any better when it comes down to it. Now, yes, the shedding is a problem. I do worry about the longevity of the fur as a result of that. And again, I do worry about the longevity of the squishy, flexible pecs there. But there's no denying that the result works really well. It gives him that nice flex that a body has when he's when he's posing, which gives him some very dynamic, very realistic Jack Kirby-ish poses here. I do think that they are currently sold out now. I think the pre-orders for him have sold out, as well as what they had come in, apparently. So I don't know if they'll do another run on this guy. I kind of think they might because, again, it's the movie year. It's going to be a big deal. They've already done a limited run Clawful as a deluxe figure. Same thing with Man at Arms, who, of course, Man at Arms is my guy, so I had to pounce on that right away. Of course, Skeletor is still available for pre order. I imagine there's got to be a Battle Cat in the works. I mean, it's just expected at this point. I would like to see a few other specific characters. I'd like to see an Orko. I'd like to see the 2000X Tila and Evelyn and Roboto, as well as Buzzoff. Those are ones that I was very big into in the 2000X line. Sorceress as well, I think, would be a really good welcome addition. But we'll see how far they go, how deep they go. If you can pick this up, I would highly recommend it. It is not a cheap figure. They are $100 a pop, plus, tariff surcharges, which is a shame, but that is what it is. I cannot hold this in my hand and think that it's not worth the money. That's what's insane about this. Like, this is worth the price of admission to me. And for a $100 figure, that's important. That's absolutely important. So, again, if you can find him, if you can get him, get him. He's worth it. That's going to be it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one.